Hi, welcome back. So we are in chapter 1, introduction. In this chapter, we're going to be looking at number of outline to establish the mechanism of this book. First of all, we'll be looking at the course strategy, and then we will be looking at project and timeline. That's why I think that many people try to jump to conclusion learning certain skills without actually establishing specific strategy. That's why they got lost along the way. So the kind of business that we are involving in terms of technology, it's really, very, very complex because in domain. So in either way, I mean, those steps could be valid for both cases. However, we should really be looking at those steps from a wider perspective. First of all, let's look at the essential step is to understand the scope of the project. Now, the first step to initiating a project in general is getting an understanding of the scope of the project, usually actually from the project sponsor or key client contact. Now, oftentimes project requesters have a specific symptom of the problem in the process and finally still bad in closeout. So what I'm trying to say is there is, as we said here, there is a start, there is somewhere around here the process, and here is the outcome of the closeout. If you remember the input box of a process, and here is the output. So always make sure to close out right. Hi, welcome back. So we're in chapter 2, technical setup. In this chapter, we're going to discuss number of outline. First, we'll be looking at the underlying AI principle. Following that, we will discuss the front end and the back end and the database principles. And finally, we'll be looking at the project setup and essentials for the two projects we intend to accomplish in this book. Decisions. And among other use cases, machine learning also is useful in creating recommendation engines that can analyze customer data and recommend items that match their taste and preferences. Next, we'll be looking at also a computer vision component where this field involves creating a computer system that can extract meaningful information from videos and images. I think the first application we'll be looking at in this book to design, it could be considered under the umbrella of computer vision. Then we'll be looking at also robotic business. However, I wanted to bring these two terminology in particular to share with you the general idea using the exact same terminology, which are actually could be compatible with any kind of product you're trying to design. Now, essentially, if we look at any kind of a product that represents a solution for a certain problem, well, the options that we have, desktop application. The second option, I could say, is a mobile phone applications. And finally, you have a web applications phase where it represents number of widgets such as buttons, labels, whatsoever. Those widgets, what is the customer or the client will be interacting with. That's why it represents the front end. This is what the user see. Now, once the user requests anything by interacting with this widget or with this interface, of course, the GUI will be sending that request to the back end, and the back end yet to make kind of a response after it handled that request and give back to the user with the request that had been made. Now, this is the process, and this is the general idea of front end and a back end query. Now, here is the point where we need to talk about the PySide 6, which is also known as the Qt for Python. It is actually a Python library to create a GUI applications. Now, here is the official website of or the documentation website for Qt extensions for other languages. So once you install the Visual Studio Code, you'll be welcome with the options bullets such as the start, which are the standard of a new file or open folder or file whatsoever. Also the recent that they've been working on. Install some of the extensions which are quite a bit powerful, like for example Python extension, as we said. It helps you once you are writing code in Python to actually recognize the language and try to help you by auto completion. There are many new frameworks and libraries did not work well with 3.12, so I have to downgrade that to 3.11, which is the most stable one. Especially, for example, if you would like to work with TensorFlow they didn't go hand by hand with 3.12. So I have just named them virtual environment 3.12 and virtual environment 3.11. So I have folder here called introduction, just completely a new folder, easy to create a folder, use nothing special, create a files inside. So I create 4 different documents to walk you through the work of PySide. First of all, to understand PySide or the workflow of PySide, there are a number of outlines I would like to tell you that they are crucially important for you to capture. Number 1, signals and event. Once again, this program, it isn't about the use of PySide. I'm not teaching you how to actually utilize this library, but I'm telling you, if you'd like to utilize this library or framework, there are many other materials explaining in details, of course, but I would say that if you like to check on your own the documentation, you have to focus on the mechanism. How does actually signals and events work in PySide, and what is the flow chart, if you will. Hi, welcome back. So we are in chapter 3, HCC V01 project. In this chapter, we're going to be looking at 3 important outlines. First, we'll be looking at a quick introduction into the project and the idea behind the research. Second, we'll be looking at the workflow of the project, maybe the essential design as well as the health field. It is important to see the contribution of AI framework to this field, where there are tons of tools have been evolved and developed over the time and have helped actually many physicians and an expert in the domain, or it could be pneumonia. And this is the problem. So the researcher problem is put in word. Given an image of X-ray chest, would you be able to decide where we get this data from? Well, basically, we have somehow to contact people like my final client, but they are the stakeholders, the one responsible to be 3.11. Maybe there are some other compatibility issues, etc. So you might, because we are dealing with external library or we're relying on external framework. So you have to consider that if you're in a, basically, if I get back to the other shot, this is a powerful things here. Now I am inside this folder and inside it, I want to create a virtual environment. So basically, if I want to go with printing the current working directory, I have this is the path. Copy that path literally just like so, and go back here and say, well, and I want to name it, for example, EMV using the Qt designer. Now, basically, the essential design, as you can see, is a passive design. So if I would have to go to preview here, I could see that my design is ready and good, even unable to move to the second page unless I get back to the QStack widget page here and I make a change order of the page. Form and preview, I could see now this is the other page application. Now, where is our main window? We need to access to main window from somewhere. Either we actually inherit the main window or queue main window directly, which is not the proper way, as we said. That's why we went to Qt designer, we did our application. And then, of course, you're gonna set the exit. Decided to change the name of one of the labels here, or maybe add even a new buttons or whatsoever. Now, once this is done, you have to consider that this UI now saving the changes, but in our new file, the py that we have just output has nothing to do with it. So we need to run again one more time. In every change we make on the main window, the .ui, we have to go back. Information that I have just added to stay inside these. I want to clean the form to be ready for the next case to be added. So this is one function they call clearing, for example, the add cases. On the view here, for example, if I double click on one of these cases and it's ready, it is the time to move to the queue push buttons functionality. We have a few functions here. Number one will be connected to the delete case buttons. Pneumonia, case test 2. Let's put the age, for example, to be 62 or 69. Description be pneumonia. And here make sure this is the right label so we can make sure our test is taking place correctly. Let's choose from pneumonia cases.
Let's choose this case. It's fine. Doesn't matter. Here we go. We have all the cases. Now, if we go to view, go to the last case. This is the case we just added. Let's click predict. Now, when you click predict, I want to show you two important things. This is the progress bar you could see, and our prediction is right. So we predicted this is a normal and it's true. So here we go. Actually, our application up and running, and everything is all right. And we could see now it is the time to actually produce this to be an XE, so you can install it to any other machine, could work on it on your own. I prefer to do the entire work myself sometimes. But anyway, this is the application now. I'm running this completely out of any Python needed or whatsoever. So this application actually completely independent exe file.
Hi, welcome back. So we are in chapter 4, FSP V01 project. In this chapter, we will be looking at number of outlines to cover the second project we intend to design throughout this book. The first will be looking at the project introduction in general, then we'll be looking at the workflow of the project, and finally the project execution. Real model that I have. And I will actually suggest which one have much more probable actions to occur. Let's take the whole day, convert it into an image. So I'm going to do this, not exactly per se. I'm not going to do any actually kind of a predictive model on that, but I will create this image into an eye model that could be an observer. It could be a diagnostic for a certain company. So then we choose a market. Let's say, for example, in this application will be working on Istanbul stock market. It's where I am from. So we could like pull all the information about the available company and sectors of Istanbul stock market, pick one company, and we are interested to trade on that company. These are important information you have to know. So this is our next task, to do that. Then we can speak about the second step. What is the fingerprint and how we're going to be dealing with that? Or what are the GUI would look like then? I think before it is important also to discuss an important meta setup of the project. The skeleton should be actually, it's the same. So I am inside the same exact folder. I will use the exact presentation of the main window. So I have all this information are clear to you. Let's go ahead now and try actually to work on this step to a database. But I just wanted things to be simple. It's simple things to do. So basically, if somebody add here, instead of adding to the list widget, you could also make add to the database as well. So we have done this previously, and the same few features are really, really valuable here. You could put the idea all together to create something really, really bigger than that. So I have actually worked on the design of this by myself before and then I'm going to show you what is the final application would look like. This is the final application would look like. So the name is in here. Everything is very similar to the previous project. So we have these two buttons, the view and sectors and the view profile. Simple. The sector name, and here we go. I go to the view sectors widget, which is basically this guy here, and I'm adding item to that. Now, if I would have to run the application, all right, these sectors, I would love to, again, reach the database and bring back all the companies and lay them down here. If you click an item here, double click, you should be calling actually this function. Something else I want you to graph this message. Let's go to the sector again, just to choose a random sector here. Let's pick the Turkish airline. Actually, it should be here under transportation somewhere here. Yes, this is the Turkish airline. And this. Now I have two companies, right? If I would have to come to this company and say, well, check the fingerprint, I'm displaying the message. For this demo, only Turkish airline is operative. Now, if I click on this, here we go. Here are the information, as we said, hard coded for now, but it should be retrieved actually live. Now, if I click here, I am completely in a new window. As you can see, that's what the functionality with it. I can literally get back to my previous window and work. So this is a complete new window, right? And by the way, if you try again and open again the chart, it's not going to open because there is a previous window. That's what we did actually function. Now, actually the price is updating, and this
are real time, which is taken actually from the server here. So that was the last functionality in this application as we have actually planned. By the end, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to some of the information that I have. It was a pleasure to share with you. Stay good for now and have a good time. Thank you. Cheers.